Hello everybody, this is Sarahscopic and you're watching Traffic Musings. Today is not Wednesday. Basically what happened was I'm filming this actually on a different day of the week when I'm coming home from something else because I got out of my work late, and because of daylight savings time it was super dark, and so you guys wouldn't have been able to see anything. It was pretty bad. It was also super rainy and people were just going kind of crazy on the road, so I did not feel safe driving. So I'm making this episode because I always do, but also this theme is actually going to be a little heavier, about a heavier topic, I would say. I know last week I had mentioned about how, you know, I'm learning to be a social worker, but the reason I'm not doing things talking about social justice issues is because, you know, I do it all the time, I'm so exhausted, blah blah. And that was incredibly poor timing because, as several of you guys know, there were some major things that has happened, some major acts of terrorism and just other horrible losses of human life. Most of you guys probably know about the attacks in Paris. By now, a lot of you should also know that there were attacks previously in Beirut, Lebanon, and I believe there were also some natural disasters in Japan and I think Mexico. And the whole world is just crying and weeping right now, and I say this with as much sincerity and as seriousness as I possibly can in a video like this. I will say that because of the seriousness of the subject, if I seem kind of lighthearted or something like it's just because I am unfortunately one of those people that kind of deals with such serious topics with kind of laughter. I don't like that I do that, but it is something to keep in mind of. However, this episode is actually not going to be about, you know, what's been going on and stuff like that. I actually want to address some of the more social media kind of reactions to it. I think that might be more interesting and just kind of my take on things. I expect some people to not necessarily agree with me on certain subjects, and that's fine. You know, write what you think in the comments, start a discussion, just be civil as always. So the first thing I kind of want to address is the reaction about how for some people that, you know, we were focusing so much on the attacks on Paris, but not so much about what happened in Beirut, for example. I understand that for a lot of people there was a bit of frustration about the fact that, you know, there was a group of people that were just posting links that were saying, you know, why aren't more people outraged about what happened in Beirut? Why wasn't this, you know, why aren't more people knowing about this? Why wasn't this covered? Blah, 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 blah. And the thing is that I think some people kind of need to recognize a little bit. The attacks in Beirut weren't reported. We didn't know about it until 2 days after, kind of because the people of Beirut got upset that there was so much cover in Paris and then nothing happened with Beirut. So that's how it started to spread. It is true that there is kind of a bias against other countries that are not maybe in the, like, kind of Western sort of countries, you know, Western Europe and America and such like that. They're not getting as much coverage when something happens. So that is why those people are sending those links out, trying to get the word out there. At the same time, just to let people know, because I am actually coming home from a different direction, Miss Smithington is going to be talking a little bit differently, and she may be talking more. I lowered her volume in the hopes that she was less distracting, so Editor John can figure out how that works. I will maybe try to pause a little bit when she does talk, but as you know, it's sometimes hard to tell. Anyway, back to what I was talking about. People who are annoyed by these reports, you know, why are more people outraged? I do understand why they're getting that knee-jerk reaction. The problem is that I think for those people, they're seeing it as, you know, why aren't you being more upset when they didn't know, so they couldn't really be upset about it? And I think it's just important to realize for both sides that, again, one side shouldn't criticize the other for not being upset about something. If they didn't know about it, they didn't know about it, so you can't really do anything about that. But here's the other thing, guys, a way to kind of flip this around. The fact that you are being bombarded by news that is saying why aren't more people being outraged by this means that social media is actually working. It's actually spreading information. There's a lot of flack you can give social media, but it's actually working. It's actually showing information that people may not otherwise be getting, because it's true the attacks on Beirut weren't reported, and so it's great that it's actually working. That's good news, guys. So the other thing I wanted to address was this whole changing your Facebook, you know, picture to be a thing of France, and it's, gosh, guys, in my opinion, that is like the least important thing in this whole thing, whether you should be doing that or not. And I just kind of, okay, I'm sorry. I guess to me, there's just so many other things that we need to be so concerned about when it comes to these attacks that the fact that that's what people are posting articles about. And I get it, guys. There's a lot of people who are doing it because they want to show their support, and that's how they show their support. And there's a lot of other people who don't feel comfortable doing that, but they feel that people are judging them for not changing their profile picture, except people really aren't, just to let you guys know. But I think some people are really concerned about, you know, what this portrays and stuff like that. I did not change my profile picture for a couple of reasons. The main reason is that for me, I use Facebook it is very much my own social platform. It is my ego in that sort of case. And to me, I don't feel comfortable doing those sorts of things because it's a temporary thing. You know, for example, once marriage was ruled to be equal marriage, people changed their profile pictures to the rainbow to support the legalization of same-sex marriage. And a lot of people changed it back once it was done, and there were some people that kept it up because that was so important to them. And I guess for me, that was just my thing, is I did not want my support to seem to be temporary and fleeting. I'm not saying that the people who put that up and are changing it back was temporary and fleeting. Not at all. That's just how they want to show their support, and that's perfectly fine. Once I heard other countries having problems, to me, I didn't really feel comfortable doing that. But that doesn't mean you can't. And I think we really need to stop judging each other for this, because, guys, there's so much more we can do. So much more we can argue about. Maybe we should let that one go. The other thing I kind of wanted to address was this idea of slacktivism. Slacktivism, in my opinion, is semi-real. There is this kind of idea of, okay, I posted a link, I'm good, I don't have to do anything else. And I think a lot of people, they post the information, the links, because that's how they spread information. And social media is great for that. It's great for spreading information fast and efficiently and all that kind of stuff. At the same time, if you are feeling kind of like, how do I explain this? The problem, I guess, is the mentality behind it. If you're just pushing it out there and then you feel like, oh, I did so much more, you know, that's my charity for the week. I mean, that's kind of why people are getting a little irritated. But posting it for just spreading information, that's what it's for. That's what social media is for. It's for you to post what you're passionate about. So for people, you know, don't feel that the work is done just because you do that. That's just step one. So that's great. At the same time, there are people who are also, you know, really getting upset about everyone talking about the same thing kind of thing. There are some people that I've heard who, you know, why is everyone still talking about this? Why is everyone still posting pictures about this? Blah, 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 blah. The reason I kind of shrug at that is because it's their personal platform. Their Facebook. You can turn it off if you don't want to see it. There are times when I have friends who post things that I don't particularly like. They post things from an organization or from a group that I just don't agree with, and it does make me uncomfortable. But I don't want to stop being friends with that person because I still like them as a person. There are things we do agree on. Facebook has a wonderful feature where you can just stop seeing posts from a particular group. It's a great thing. And so you can totally do that. The other thing, too, is at the same time, it's their personal platform. You know, you're the one who's looking through it, and you're the one that's scrolling. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, maybe deal. And it's okay. Like, this is what people are passionate about, and you can post things yourself. The other thing I also kind of want to talk about, and I'm sorry, this episode's going to be a little longer today, but I think there's a lot I wanted to get to. One thing I also wanted to talk about is this idea of, there's a great word for it, and Editor Chong, find this word for me, because I know this word exists, and just put it in here. There's this beautiful, beautiful word, and it's this. What is that? You probably have seen it before, and unfortunately, you probably saw it during these attacks. So usually when something local happens, local by me, what I mean by that is in America, an issue that people are standing up for, and then someone else comes in and goes, while you were all worried about that, this was happening on the other side of the world, so maybe you should shut up. No, just stop. If there's one thing that gets me on my nerves, it's that. Those kinds of things just really irritate me because everyone is allowed to be passionate for whatever they want. You can be passionate about both, I guess, is my other thing. You can say that there is a issue that is wrong going on, that's wrong in America, and that there's an issue on the other side of the world. That does not mean that you can't be passionate about both, or that you can't be really passionate about one but care about the other. I'm bringing this up because, unfortunately, a reaction to the attacks on Paris, another thing you guys may know about what's going on at University of Missouri. University of Missouri, there was an issue that was going on with some racial relations. Basically, long story short, the University of Missouri has, as a lot of universities unfortunately has had a long history of racism and such like that. And so these students had done not really a protest, but kind of an informational stand-in during a parade. And there were a lot of issues that happened, but one of the issues I know that happened was the president was in a car and he basically allowed the driver to run through the students that were putting this on, and they actually hit a student. That was just one thing. There were lots of other stuff that was going on. So these students put forth a sort of a letter of things that they demand. It's kind of a list of demands. And a lot of it was, I mean, they wanted the president to step down because he's had a history of this kind of racism, but also a lot of things they were asking of was just more racial awareness on campus, because there was none. So the issue with all of this is that as a result, these students have been getting death threats. There are videos of this, of people basically spouting things that you would think it was freaking the 1960s. It's disgusting. And so these people are upset and they're scared, and it's a real big issue. And unfortunately, on the reaction of all these attacks on Paris, Beirut, etc., there were people that were saying things like, now these students of Mizu should shut up because of what's happening over there. No. Stop. Sorry if I get passionate about this, but stop. No. You can still be passionate about the fact that there is still this ridiculous amount of racism in our own country, and the fact that there is terrorism going on in other parts of the world. You can have a problem with both. You can be passionate about one or the other and still appreciate both. As long as you acknowledge that these are issues, that's all you're really asking. So just stop. Please. People can, this is an issue, and they are allowed to be upset. They shouldn't just be, okay, at least it's better than over here, because that's not how it works. If they are suffering from racism, and that's not okay. So that's my piece on that. I think at the end of the day, the other thing I just kind of want to mention, another reaction that I kind of saw that kind of made me eye roll a little bit, was that there are some people that are kind of getting up in arms with organized religion as a result of what is happening in what happened with the attacks, and every side is getting on each other's nerves about it. And I'm not going to speak on to it. I identify as Christian, but I also am part of the coexist movement. And to me, the attacks that are supposedly perpetrated by this group called ISIS is an extremist form and is not a representation of the Muslim community. So people who are sending death threats to Muslims need to stop right now, because extremism can happen with any religion, and it is very unfortunate. Now, that being said, there are lots of attacks on each other and people are feeling offended all over the place, and I totally understand. One of the ones that I saw that was really weird to me, and I when I first saw it, I was like, what? There is kind of a weird, and this hits personally home because I do identify as Christian, and I find praying important for me. And it was weird because I saw a couple people post things that were saying, like, stop praying and start doing. And I understand the idea. There is kind of a history of this idea of, well, I did everything because I prayed for this, and that's, I did so much stuff, look at me, blah, 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 whatever. And A, that's not even how prayer really works. But B, I understand this idea of, there are people who I think maybe abuse kind of the idea of prayer is enough, somewhat. I mean, if you're going from the Christian beliefs in the Bible, it does say that faith is not enough, you must do action. So, but putting that out there. The other thing too is I just found that whole thing a little bit strange, because if you think that putting that out there and thinking that's enough, aren't you doing kind of the same thing as the people who are supposedly just praying. That was just what was kind of weird to me. Like, there was no information about what you could do. There was on these things. There was no link to information. It was not like a, hey, you know, you prayed, but how about doing this as well? There was nothing like that. And so that was kind of weird to me. So, no. Just peace on earth, I guess. The last thing I want to do, and I really apologize, this video is very, very long. It's going to be almost 20 minutes, I think. We'll see. If I have upset you throughout this whole video, but for whatever reason, okay? I did. But if there's one thing I can impress upon you, that I can urge you significantly, is this. Please, for the love of all that is holy and good in this world, in which there may not be much, but is still there, fact check. Fact check. Fact check. Fact check. Please, guys. Everyone is guilty of this. All sides of the spectrum, all political alignments, everybody is guilty of this. Please fact check. I understand you see either an article that speaks exactly what you believe, you see an infographic that says exactly what you're thinking, or you want to believe that what it says is true. I totally get it. Please do not share it unless you fact check. I have seen so many times that people will share something, and I can just tell, just by looking at it, that no, that didn't actually happen, because I know, just based on these things, that this can't be true. Please, guys, fact check. Even sometimes when it seems like, you know, that it must be true. I mean, I think we can all agree that Donald Trump is a piece of work in more ways than one, but there are times that people have, you know, spread stuff that he has supposedly said that has not been true. Please fact check, guys. Just please. Does not do anybody any good service to simply spread things that are not true. So please, please, please. Thank you for listening to this. I apologize for the super long video. We're gonna get to something happier in the next video, I promise you. And so, but yep, okay, let's do this. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. I hope something amazing happens to you. And without further ado, I hope to see you all in the next episode.